Hey, welcome to week 5 of the Web Center World Series. Last couple of weeks, we've been talking about digital marketing. We started talking about, the general process of building a Web Center business and following the 5 C's, the simple sales system. And then we went into making sure that we understood where everything should happen online, the digital presence. Everything should lead back to the website, which is loaded with content, and it's something that the business owner can own, right? They own the content, they have rights to the platform, whereas there are third parties out there where they can't control the content or the algorithms, so to speak. So it's hard to be found. And then we talked last week about the nature of search engines and search engine optimization and search engine marketing programs, and how it's a great way to drive traffic and leads to a business website to make sure that they can be found on the internet. But tonight we're going to talk about social media. And social media really has a unique purpose in marketing. And I really like to say that more so than marketing, it really comes down to a communication channel. And there's so many different social networks out there and so many social channels, and there's a reason behind all of them. So we're going to kind of give a crash course on the latest statistics on social media and some of the top networks. And then we'll talk about how MA Web Centers provides web solutions in social media marketing, as well as Facebook advertising, to help your clients have a better social presence, as well as how they can drive leads even from advertising campaigns using social media. I think it's just, it's evident that it's just part of, the marketplace now. Social media is not going away. It's certainly, come on the scene quickly and has had a major impact on businesses. But if you look at this, as of 2021, 79% of Americans have a social media profile, as opposed to 2008, where it was only 10%, 50% in 2011. So it has grown drastically, right? Gone from 10% all the way up to 79% and growing, continuing to grow. And when we look at numbers from a year ago, October 2020, and why people use social media and what the usage is across the globe, global numbers here. There's 4.14 billion active social media users worldwide, which is 53% of the global population. And that includes, obviously, third world countries. It also includes, children that may not have access. So, 53% of a worldwide population, or even in areas that there is no internet. I know we've seen a huge push to globalize internet. But look at that, 53%. The annual growth in social media users has been up 12.3%, right? 12.3%, meaning it's been an added 453 million users over the course of the year previous. So, it'd be great to see what October 2021 numbers are and what that growth continues to escalate. The number of social media users accessing via mobile devices, over 4 billion. So if you look at that, right, the total number of active social media users is 4.14 billion, and 4.08 billion are accessing social media channels on a mobile device. And again, when we talk about the importance of having a mobile-friendly web presence, that's it, right? When people are surfing social media channels and they're searching search engines and they're accessing their email on a mobile device, when they're going to a website, chances are it's on their mobile device, which means that they should have a mobile friendly or responsive website. And look at this, percentage of total social media users accessing via mobile is 99%. 99% of social media users access their network through a mobile device. And we get this question a lot. What are the most used social platforms, again, worldwide? Earlier this year, we've got Facebook, and this is in millions. So you got Facebook is at 2.74 billion. You've got YouTube at 2.291 billion. You got WhatsApp at 2 billion. And again, that's less of a social channel as it is a communication application, but it is tied to social networking. Facebook Messenger, 1.3 billion. Instagram, 1.2 billion. WeChat, 1.2 billion. TikTok, 689 million on TikTok. You've got QQ, 617 million. The majority of those are in China, of course. You've got down to Telegram, Snapchat, 498 million. Pinterest, 442 million. Twitter, 353 million. And that was as of January 2021. So it is interesting to see the various numbers across the platforms. So when we look at it here, you can see Facebook 2.7 billion, YouTube at 2 billion, Facebook Messenger 1.3 billion, Instagram 1.16 billion, LinkedIn 766 million. We didn't see that on the table before. 689 million for a new to the scene TikTok, right? 330 million on Twitter and 294 million on Snapchat. So the reason why we're going through all these statistics is not for you to memorize them, but it's to create some discussion and some great questions and things you can ask a business owner or someone that you're looking to work with as a candidate, and really show some value in social media for their business. When we look at the percentage of people using social media on a daily basis, right? On a day-to-day basis, 74% of people use Facebook on a daily basis. 72% use YouTube on a daily basis. 63% on Instagram. You got 42% on Twitter, 35% on TikTok, and 30% on Snapchat. So if you want to get daily engagement, then you've got to be pushing out content and be engaging with your audience on Facebook daily. Whether or not you've got a YouTube channel, that's something to be considered. But of course, Instagram is another social platform where most small businesses can participate. And again, 63% of the people are accessing it daily, which means that your business owners should have a daily strategy on those social networks. And then, of course, demographics. Look at age. The age brackets. We've got 18 to 29-year-olds. 88% of them using a social media network. You've got 78% of the people are 30 to 49 years. You've got 50 to 65-year-olds. 64% of them using social media, and over 65-year-olds, 37% using social media. So when we talk about a channel or an outlet where you can reach masses of people, billions of people across all age demographics, social media really is, it really does level the playing field. Now we're going to go into each of those networks a little bit more specifically. Facebook users around the world, 63% of Americans older than 12 use Facebook. Right? So older than 12, 63%. 28%, right? 28.5% of the global population uses Facebook. So we're looking at our global marketplace. It's almost a third of the global population are using Facebook. We do have some statistics coming out in our Taiwan webinar that are more geared towards Asia Pacific, but you can find all these statistics for your country. If you're in the UK or you're in Singapore or you're in Hong Kong or Australia, you can find this information just by doing a basic search on Facebook statistics for your country. 51% of American teens use Facebook, right? So still half of them. I know a lot of people say that it's becoming an older demographic on Facebook. But again, 80% of users access Facebook only through a mobile device, right? So being mobile friendly is critical to a good online presence. And really, we see it, we live in a scroll world. How often do you go to a restaurant, or you're at a bus stop, or you're at a subway, you're at a restaurant waiting for a meal, you're just out, walking, and you see people walking. What are they doing? They're scrolling on their phones. They're scrolling, trying to find something that captures their attention, right? So every post, I would say every post should include what? A photo. Visual content is 40 times more likely to get shared on social media than other types of content. So when you start talking to small business owners about their social media usage, you might do some research and find that they've got posts, but they're not very media rich, right? So you should encourage them to have great photography, clear, clean, relevant photos on their social posts. When it comes to video, right, almost 50% of internet users look for videos related to a product or service before visiting a store. And that was a statement by Google, right? More than, well, almost half, right? 50% of internet users. What about this? 53% of smartphone users feel more favorable towards companies whose mobile sites or apps provide instructional video content. So, are your businesses and your candidates leveraging video? Are they leveraging video as a way to maximize their digital presence? Right? And we're not talking about just having a YouTube channel. We're talking about having video on Facebook, or maybe video on their Instagram, maybe leveraging TikTok, maybe having a section of tutorials on their website, right? Maybe little 2 to 3 minute clips of videos on their website, how-to videos, frequently asked questions, maybe a daily tip of the day on Facebook that is a video, right? The power of photos and videos really speaks for itself here. So video really is king. It's probably the best type of content you can have. 82% of internet traffic will be via video by the end of 2021. And that's just incredible. And a lot of that comes because of YouTube being the #2 social network. 83% of marketing professionals agree that video content is becoming more important. And that was back in 2018. Fast forward 3 years and here we are, right? So we can't ignore video any longer. In fact, that's what's going to lead us right into YouTube. YouTube, 1 billion unique monthly visitors, right? Every single month, a billion unique visitors. Nearly 1 out of every 2 internet users are on YouTube, right? And that's why Google bought YouTube years ago. 100 hours of video are uploaded every minute to YouTube. 100 hours of video content every minute. YouTube reaches more US adults ages 18 to 34 than any cable network. And I actually read that it's more than any cable network combined, right? When you start looking at streaming services taking over cable, I mean, really it started with YouTube. 6 billion hours of video are viewed every month. When you take a month worth of viewing time, 6 billion hours of video are consumed, and that was a 50% increase in just 1 year. Certainly in a pandemic, you're going to see that, but more and more people are attracted to video. And while we don't provide video services because they're really localized services, it's something to have a conversation. And it's a great tip that adds tremendous value to a conversation with your candidate or your client that lets them know that you care about their business without trying to sell them a service all the time. You got to get them engaged in video. Next up, Instagram. Right, here are some 2021 stats and tips from Instagram. 1 billion monthly active users also on Instagram. 53 minutes spent on Instagram per day on average, right? Almost an hour a day on average of people on Instagram. 71% of users are under the age of 35, okay? Under the age of 35, so that's an important demographic for your candidate or your client, right? That should be a recommendation. 90% of users follow at least one business, so while it can be seen as a social network where they really want to follow their friends and family and coworkers and colleagues and influencers, so to speak, 90% of users follow at least one business, so businesses can participate as well. 10.7 hashtags on average are used in one post, and we'll talk a little bit more about hashtags coming up very soon, and the importance of using hashtags as a marketing technique. 83% of users say they discover new products and services on where? On Instagram, right? Look at that. 83% of users discover new brands and products on Instagram. 500 million accounts use Instagram stories every day. So it might not be the grid, might not be just the posts, but having an active storyline, right? Stories on Instagram and stories on Facebook are critical when it comes to engagement because there are people that actually will watch through the stories and not flip through and scroll through the posts anymore. And look at this, 71% of US businesses use Instagram. Now, how effectively, we don't know. It means they might have a profile. 71% are on Instagram, but let's make sure that they're using it in a way that can be beneficial. Moving along, the next social network we'll talk about is Twitter, right? Twitter still is the most popular micro blogging site, right? And that's interesting. A micro blog is where you can push out small bits and pieces of content without having a whole article. In fact, some people use Twitter as a way to drive traffic to a blog, where you can have a little snippet on Twitter and then direct them over to the main blog with a link, and that's where you're going to get the full article. 313 million monthly active users. So a lot of people say, well, Twitter's ineffective, right? It's really gone down. Well, 313 million monthly active users is still a great audience, right? 500 million tweets per day. It's available in over 40 languages, 79% outside of the US. So that's important. If you're looking to attract a global audience, then Twitter may be a way to go. And 53% are online adults, right? 82% mobile monthly users. So again, the importance of having a mobile-friendly presence, because that's 82% are using, say, Twitter on their mobile device, the mobile app, which can direct them to pieces of content that should be mobile-friendly on their website. And 10% of Americans 65 and over use Twitter, and that's the fastest growing age group. And isn't that interesting, right? More and more older adults are using Twitter. Right, 21% are female, and 24% male from what we can gather. Obviously, we're missing a huge piece of the population there, but that's the demographic data that we have of US users. In terms of how it influences people, right? 51% of users say Twitter content has influenced their consideration of a travel brand, right? So travel is important. Accommodations, right? Travelers are 44% more likely to learn about new travel brand on Twitter. Tweet content travelers want to see: exclusive discounts, last minute deals, contests and promotions, funny content, travel ideas and stories. Now, that is also across other categories, right? So they're looking for discounts, deals, contests and promotions, right? That's the largest reason why people are on Twitter. And of course, seeing funny content, and of course the stories or ideas, and that's a great way to drive relevant content. And now TikTok. Are you on TikTok? Are your businesses on TikTok? And a lot of people think, oh, it's just for the kids. Well, more importantly, based on your target audience, should you be on TikTok? And that's the question to ask your candidate. TikTok has an estimated 80 million monthly active users just here in the US. 60% are female, 40% are male, 60% are between ages of 16 to 24, and 26% are between the ages of 25 to 50 or 25 to 44. So you can look at it this way: from 16 to 44-year-olds, you've got 86% of the audience there. Right? So again, is there a market there? Yes. Is that a channel that some businesses should leverage? Yes. And also it comes down to content. A lot of them just don't have the content or don't feel comfortable with the kind of content that is on TikTok, but it doesn't mean they should ignore it. Just because they don't understand how the technology works doesn't mean that they should ignore it. The paradigm has shifted, right? The marketing paradigm has shifted over to digital. The analogy you can draw is, just because a business does not understand it, does that mean that they should take out 5 full-page ads in the yellow pages and ignore other forms of media and marketing? No, in fact, it's probably, I don't want to say a waste, but there's a lower return on their investment when it takes the cost into consideration when you look at some traditional means of marketing and advertising. So that's the conversation to have with the businesses. And then, of course, Snapchat. By 2022, Snapchat will have 1.2 million new, that's the keyword, new users aged 12 to 17. Now, you can also think of this: brand young, brand for life. So if you've got 1.2 million new users between the ages of 12 to 17, what happens in 5 years? In 5 years, that means that you've got 17 to 25-year-olds And now you're talking about those getting into their buying demographic, those that are making purchases, right? And as a result, Facebook will lose 2.2 million users in that age bracket. So there's a shift, right? As we say, a lot of Facebook is moving to be an older demographic, but these other channels like Snapchat, like TikTok are picking up the younger demographic. So if a business doesn't stay on top of that, eventually, if you've got a business that's planning on being business for the next 20, 30 years, think of how that will negatively impact them and how fast technology is moving, right? And these are again, do we offer a Snapchat service? No. But this is important information to have as part of the social media conversation with your business candidates. 90% of all 13 to 24-year-olds are on Snapchat, right? So that's a very big percentage there. The majority of those early to late teens and those that are maybe finishing their studies. You look at those that are getting out of high school, college, trade school, military. They're in that group of up to 24. So that's where they're communicating is via Snapchat. 75% of all 13 to 34-year-olds, right? When you push it up to 34, it goes to 75%, right? So having this millennial and Gen Z audience is important when factoring in spending power of these two generations, which is estimated, look at this, it's estimated to be worth $1 trillion, right? The spending power of the 13 to 34-year-old is estimated to be $1 trillion. So should a business be on Snapchat? I don't know. I think there's a case for it right here. Now, does it mean that every business should be on all of these social networks? No. They should pick one and be good at it, but they should start, furthering their reach and maybe looking at companies like ours to maybe handle some of the social media management. Maybe they should look at some interns. Maybe they should hire social staff because it could be a huge return on their investment. So we've been talking in general about social channels, but there's also an opportunity for ad dollars, right? Social media advertising, right? So when it comes to paid social media ads, the overwhelming majority use Facebook ads, right? Lots of great insights. 84% are using Facebook ads. Google ads, 41%, and LinkedIn at 18%. I will say that the nice thing about Facebook purchasing Instagram is now there's a tie between those two networks. Now, when we talk about Google ads, that's where we're reaching into YouTube. So YouTube advertising could be a very strong play for your customer. Maybe we do a social media ad campaign on Facebook, and maybe we do a search campaign on Google. Maybe we take off off their shoulders and do some fill in the work on maybe Facebook social media management, allowing the business to maybe branch into other channels to get a new demographic or to get further reach, right? So you got to think, like a consultant, you got to just ask questions and then work with our product specialists and even our great web center owners and franchise owners on current events as it relates to social media. So how do marketers define engagement when measuring social success? I think before we go there, we should say that, the thing that really should be measured in terms of, is social media performing? Is it successful? Is it worth it? Well, it comes down to engagement, right? So what is engagement? And this is how we can define it. 72% say it comes down to likes and or comments, right? So on any post or on that business page, 72% of marketers say, well, it should be likes and or comments. 62% define it as shares, right? Shared content and or retweets, right? So taking that content of a business page and then sharing it out when a user shares that information, that means that there is some tremendous engagement there. 60% say interaction. So when there's a comment, maybe the business owner replies. Maybe they send in a Facebook message, the business owner replies, right? There's a two-way dialogue rather than just outbound messaging. It becomes a conversation. 34% say, well, we can always just measure success in revenue, right? So did it lead to sales? Did it lead to new customers, new product sales, add-on product sales? Did we see a boost or a bump in our revenue? 32% say inspiring consumers to take action, the call to action, right? That click to purchase feature, like this comment or link in bio. And 29%, so it's just an inspiring and emotional response. So when we talk about emotional response, um, so we'll take Facebook, for example. You can do more than just do a little thumbs up like a like. You can do a care, which is like a little hug. You can do a heart, which is a love. You can do an angry face, or you can do a wow face, right? An emphasized surprise look, right? That is emotional responses in social media. So it's a little bit more than a like, because it's a little bit more definitive about that emotion. So that's how marketers can define engagement. So when you're asking your candidates and your clients, how well are you engaging with your audience? And they might say, well, what do you mean? You can say, well, I don't know, likes or comments, or, are people sharing your content, or are you replying on people's comments? Are you creating conversation? Is it leading to any revenue? Right? Is it leading to a call to action? Is it leading to more than just the thumbs up? Are they doing things like the heart button, right? So now you can have an intelligent conversation and discussion around social media that will lead you to what? A social strategy. So, a high level is to ask your clients, are you on social networks? Great. Which ones? Why? Right? What are you hoping to be? Why are you on that social network? Would you say that your content is valuable? Are you pushing out content just to push it out, or do you feel that it's really valuable content? Are you posting consistently? How often do you post? How about this? Would you like to be on more social platforms, right? You've got the Facebook thing down, but would you like to be on Instagram? Or maybe you've got Instagram and Facebook down, but you realize you're missing out because there's more of an opportunity on Twitter. Or something happens where maybe a network goes down like Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and what are you left with? Maybe you need to start pushing out on Twitter for communication. If that's an important communication channel for your business, and now it goes down because you don't have control over it, well, now you got to consider email, you got to consider your website, you got to consider your blog, you got to consider text message marketing, you got to consider other networks like Twitter, or maybe Snapchat. Are you interacting with your followers? We talked about, is there a call to action, right? Are you inspiring people to take action? So when it comes down to these questions, right, again, it's the 15-minute consultation appointment. And that's really a good quality appointment because you're going to gather all the information. You're going to do some initial research on your own, but you're going to get to hear from the business owner about where they're at with their digital marketing. So on the digital and social media marketing assessment sheet, there are some specific questions about obviously demographic, what's their budget, are they advertising? We talked about search engine optimization last week, but now when you talk about online community and social media, do you use social media for personal use? If they're not using it for personal use, the chances of them using it for business use is low. Do you have a business dedicated account? Which social platforms are you on? How often do you post? Do you post special deals via social media? Are you happy with your interactions? Are there other social media platforms you'd like to be on? And rather than just saying yes, ask which one. Great, which ones? How would you rate your online reputation, right? We'll get into reputation management as well. Do you do Facebook advertising? Are you blogging? Are you using your social media to drive traffic to a blog? So all of these questions you're armed with in order to do one thing: build curiosity and trust so that this candidate or client schedules an appointment with a product specialist, where the product specialist can talk to your client or candidate about what? About social media management and about Facebook advertising. So you need to know what we have in order to tailor those conversations, right? So in social media management, we offer smooth, results-driven packages in which our dedicated specialists, they'll create profiles on social media if there's not one already existing, right, on their site of choice. They'll post written and image-driven content on a weekly basis. They'll respond to comments or questions that might arise to help the engagement. And we've seen a lot of great case studies on our social media management where you've had clients that over the course of even 3 months have increased their subscribers or their likes upwards of over 1,000 new likes in a 3-month period just from our social media management package, right? And of course, those that are looking for Facebook ads, maybe they're doing it on their own, but maybe they're not managing it well. So, we'll discuss their target market demographics, their geography that they like to reach, and other vital details to set up a great campaign and get it kicked off. And when they're doing an ad campaign like this, Expect a monthly consultation and report detailing everything so that the business owner, has a transparent view of what's going on with their marketing campaigns. And that's where they can schedule an appointment with our product specialists, right? Our social media specialists, and really go over those numbers and then make certain tweaks to make sure they can enhance it or grow it. Maybe sometimes what they do is they like the results that they're getting, so they're going to increase the budget, right? That's another thing that they can do. So, we offer only these two packages for social media, but they're very flexible and scalable, so we can help grow with the client. So, maybe they just start with one social media management package on, say, Facebook, but then they purchase another one for Twitter and another one for Instagram, and you'll find that there's a very high return on investment when we start kicking off these campaigns. So how can we, focus on social media? Well, this week we'd like you to research your clients and your candidates' social media presence, right? You're going to check out what networks are they on. Go to their website. Do they have the icons or the badges on their website? Do a search on, social sites like Twitter, like LinkedIn, like Facebook, like Instagram, right? Maybe even ask them, reach out and ask them. Maybe do an email, say, hey, polling my clients, what networks are you on? And then take a note of how many followers, subscribers, or likes they have. Take a look at how often they're posting. When was their last post, right? And if you realize that they haven't posted that frequently, maybe they need someone to help manage their online social media. How is their engagement? Is there some likes, some comments, replies back and forth? And what networks could they better leverage, right? If you see that they're doing a great job on Facebook, maybe it's time for them to branch into Instagram. Or maybe they're doing a great job on Facebook and Instagram, but they hit a much younger audience. Maybe it's time for them to look at the Snapchat or TikTok. And again, the idea is that we don't offer those packages, but you're adding tremendous value when you make those suggestions. So it all comes down to building the relationship, adding credibility and trust, and increasing value, and then focusing on the products and solutions that we can offer them. And of course, one of the best things that you can do is close them into an appointment with one of our product specialists to talk about digital marketing. And when you're filling out your sales calendar wizard, you just check off which digital marketing products you'd like them to talk about, whether it be social media management, online reputation management, Facebook advertising, or any of the others like we talked about last week with SEO or Google advertising. But in the comments, you want to make sure that you write some bullet points so that the product specialist has a chance to really understand the motivation and what you found in your research and in your discovery through that consultation process. So again, couple of great products that we offer: social media management, Facebook advertising, and it would be a great add-on for any business, especially as we get into the retail season in the fourth quarter here of 2021. More and more people pay attention to social media networks, and that's growing, but it's also a great way to drive endorsements and call to action and sponsored ads for an increase in revenue through this fourth quarter. So some great things to think about. Happy to answer any questions. If you email that out to us, we'll be happy to do some more research. Can also get you on a consultation appointment with our social media specialist with MA WebCenters. And again, be active on the official WebCenter owner support group on Facebook. We've got a lot of great resources there for you. So don't be a stranger. Reach out if you have any questions. Looking forward to just hearing your feedback to sessions like this and how you were able to implement some of the information that you learned into great conversations that led to appointments. Hope you have a great week, and looking forward to talking again about more digital marketing and our products with MA WebCenters on our next edition of the WebCenter World Series coming up very soon.